Hey, it's Sam, and I just wanted to check in with everyone on, friends of mine and friends of the company. Actually, two companies I have right now, which are involved in the Ukraine situation. It's the morning of the 25th of February. I'm here safely in Warsaw, Poland. My fiance's here, and yesterday, like I said in my Facebook post, was the longest night of my life. I'd been sensing, or I'd just been reading a lot of intelligence for the last few months online that told me that what was going to happen was going to happen. I got some confirmation after I sent out my first video last week. We were evacuating Kyiv from a friend who's in intelligence in the US military, who said, yes, it is going to be what you thought, and actually it's going to be worse. And he said, you need to get everyone out by next week. I put out that video when we were evacuating, and I took it down. I took all these videos down for a week because a lot of people told me I was being alarmist and I was, trying to sow panic inside of Ukraine. And it actually really was tough on my team because a lot of people didn't believe it and thought I was being, trying to be destructive towards the country. So I took them down and just tried to repair the damage inside of the company. But thankfully that video, or those videos, did get most of our company out. We got, right now, all but 15 of my team members are outside of dangerous areas in Ukraine where Russian troops have been fighting, or a lot of missile strikes have been in Kyiv. And most of them, I think 12 of them, 2 weeks ago last week got across the Polish border. And we have another team that can't cross the Polish border because they're not from Ukraine, which I need to try and get them across the border, from Nigeria and from Algeria, and some, they're stuck in Poland, but they're safe in a very safe location. It's not a military target. And so we got everyone out, and then, last night I felt like this was going to happen based on my intelligence. So I just stayed up all night reading my Twitter feed, and I've never done Twitter before, but Twitter really is an amazing breaking news source, and I follow a bunch of people on there that kind of help me understand the situation. And then I saw it starting. Even before Putin's speech, there were firefights breaking out in Ukraine that were going out on Twitter, and I just told my team on our private communications channel, hey, start getting out. And I called people I knew who were about to fly from the airport that night, and I said, hey, you better start driving. And we got a lot of people out early that morning who moved towards the border, and it was just chaos. I remember seeing Putin's speech and just thinking, Mike, this is delusional. And so people finally kind of woke up to the reality that a full-scale invasion was happening. I don't think even the government was thinking it would happen until the very end, or maybe they thought it could happen. But people had followed that lead, and it was just huge shock because everyone had been told to keep calm. It's not gonna happen like the Americans are saying it's gonna happen. And unfortunately, and I told everyone, I'm not glad that we were right on this as a country at all, right? But I had a meeting that morning with my product team, and amazingly, all of my developers inside of Ukraine showed up on time for the product meeting, even though there was bombing going on in Kyiv, and they showed up and they did their work. And then I had another team member, Helena, who was in Kyiv, missile strikes going on, and she's telling people who are in our workshop to make sure they scheduled their four coaching calls. And then I had to remind myself, because I found out that she'd gone to Kyiv for her father's medical appointment and got stuck there. And I told everyone in the group that's working with her from all over the world, hey, just so you know, Helena's she's in a city that's getting bombed, and she's still trying to help you guys. So we got everyone on a team meeting later that day. Most of our team, like I said, is either outside of Ukraine because they didn't live here. Our senior engineers are not from Ukraine. Our sales team's basically all outside of Ukraine. but we still have a core key component, of some engineers and customer support team and product managers and other people and my chief operations officer is stuck in Ukraine. So we had kind of this crazy meeting where half of the team is in complete safety and the other half can't make the meeting, or some of them are on the meeting still, but they're going to air raid sirens, or they're going to bomb shelters because, I tell them, hey, there's an air raid siren in Kyiv, and they just have to get out. So it was hard. It was definitely one of the toughest. I think it's the hardest day I've ever had as a leader, especially, harder than Iraq, because in Iraq I had the guns and I didn't have to worry about pay and fuel and food, and I had an opportunity to shoot back, and here I had like this really helpless feeling, and I was on my advisory board meeting with my advisors, and they were wondering if I was still going to have it, and I showed up on the meeting, and I tried to update them on Ukraine, and I just lost it. I just broke down because people are calling me and asking me, hey, should I leave Kyiv, and is it safe to leave Kyiv, and like what's the right, and I don't have the right answer, right? All I have is military experience, and I've been following this for a long time, so I'm trying to give the best advice, but should you leave Kyiv and hide in your house, or should you brave it on these roads where there's huge traffic jams, people are running out of fuel, it's cold, people are short on food and everything, and I just just kind of lost it, and my advisory board thankfully stuck there and let me get it back together. And it's just really hard. My fiance, her family stuck behind the main troops that are advancing from the south, and she's got elderly babushkas, grandparents who make it really hard for them to travel. So they're staying put, but her brother made it to the border, and he drove like through a firefight. They drove around a firefight that was going on west of Kyiv on the way to the border. So just some amazing stories are coming out from the team, and people are trying to get out. And then last night we decided to get everyone across the border who was in Ukraine, and that was just heartbreaking because military-age males can't get across. All 18 to 60-year-old men have to stay in Ukraine because they anticipate this is going to be a long fight. And sadly, I think that's true. We had families going across the border. Women on our team have left their men back in Ukraine to do their jobs, protect their families, and they're like with their kids, with everything they've got that they can carry, walking across the Polish border, and there's a massive line, and they're up all night, waiting in line with kids, tired, trying to get across the border, and then they have to walk 5 kilometers from Ukraine to Poland. There's no it's a foot crossing you have to go across, which I don't understand. It's cold, their kids have not slept all night, they're crying, and some of them just wanted to turn back, go back to Ukraine. So my HR team and my assistant, and they've been on the phone all night just providing emotional support to these women and their kids, and getting them across. And then we had a guy in my media company, Sergey, who was taking his wife and kids across, and he had to stay back because they wouldn't let him across the border. So his wife and his kids get unexpectedly separated from him at the border. And he has to go back and potentially fight if he's called upon. And he's, all the guys want to do that if that's their role, if that's their mission, because, Russian soldiers are on their land, and they are bombing and killing civilians, and they've bombed the hospital, and just people are getting killed by the airstrikes, and they just started, and people are upset and they're emotional, and so here's what this means for me and my companies. I'm pretty much not a CEO anymore. I've turned into a 24-hour counselor and evacuation coordinator. So I just really appreciate everyone who's contributed to the evacuation of our team members. I've got more than just my team members that I'm trying to help now. People are referring people to me, so we've set up a website on my company, Sanity Desk Software, called The Borderlands, and anyone who needs help from a friend of mine, I'm trying to, I set aside 10 members of my company are now full-time working on refugee operations. So 6 people are all on live chat all the time, 24 hours, trying to call people who submit a support ticket and just at least speak to them. We're not trying to evacuate people from fighting areas because we don't know if we can do that safely, but we are trying to help people who want advice or just want to talk to someone who, because that's really tough. This morning, one of my team members texted me and she said, hey, a missile just hit 200 meters from my house. Me and my family are leaving Kyiv. Thank you for the advice. We're going to follow the route that you recommended, right? And this is just a route I recommended based on intelligence. I don't know if it's safe, but they don't know either, right? So I have to take that responsibility of telling them based on what I see, what I think might be the best route. But they're taking their lives into their own hands. And then another girl this morning called me because she'd been in a bomb shelter all night and she's about to try and get on a train because 2 days ago I told her to buy a train ticket and she thankfully got one. And the trains seem to be the only safe way out, but they're just getting mobbed, and people who have tickets don't have tickets. They're trying to figure out who gets on. So people just need support, emotional support. So I don't even care about my CEO role in my company right now. I'm just trying to get everyone safe from my team and friends who are asking for help. We have team members who are doing that. Thankfully, the donations that have come in this Gofundme campaign are actually enough to not just cover my team, but to try and help other people. So we're able to pay our staff to help other people, with advice and getting across. And if they're in hardship, we're going to see if we can raise more money to help more than people on our team. So if you've donated to our GoFundMe campaign and you want to help more people, please pass the word on. Because we will help more than my team, because that's just the right thing to do. And I talked to my team and I said, hey, look, I feel guilty we left early. We were lucky. We knew, we made a judgment that this could happen. We were safe rather than sorry. We spent money on it. And we've got people from Ukraine who are safe in Poland and they feel bad. And I feel bad that I left. I mean, I'm a former cavalry officer in the Army and I don't like to run away from a fight. But that's not my job right now. My job is to keep my company safe and help my customers from all over the world who I have an obligation to, and my shareholders. So I don't want to let them down. So thanks for listening, and share this if you think some people who want to help. And I really appreciate all of you and the support and just the outpouring of support and concern and care for me and my fiance, my loved ones, my family, father-in-law, mother-in-law, babushka-in-laws, and my brother and future brother-in-law. So I really just appreciate that. And so many people have asked to help with lodging and food. I've just been kind of overwhelmed. So I'm going to set up a site where if people want to help, you can go submit a form and tell us how you want to help. And we'll put that in the link if you want to help. So we'll try and get my whole team organized to deal with all the influx of support and the help requests that we're getting, and just really appreciate that. And I'll get back to running my company once we figure this out. But please, if you are one of my customers, the whole team's running. Even the people in Ukraine are trying to work as they can. Although I think electricity and power may go out soon as this kind of takes a tougher turn. But you're in great hands, and just because I'm stepping away to do this, the team knows they have an obligation and they're working on helping you guys. I've got 10 members of my team that are doing this full time, but the rest are doing their jobs. And we'll figure it out with, I'm confident the company will take care of itself. And even in this tough period. So thanks a lot, everyone, and I appreciate it.